Buenos dias. Welcome to another instructional video for Spanish 1010 at Virginia College. For this lesson, we'll be discussing the verb tener and some of the uses for the verb tener. Tener is a very useful verb in Spanish, and it means to have. If you use your subject pronouns just like you have for conjugating other verbs, and you plug the verb tener into the chart, you'll see that the endings are the same as with any ER verb. The difference with the verb tener is that it has what's called a stem change. What that means is the stem, which is ten, has a vowel that changes. In this case, the e changes to ie, and it has an irregular form in yo, in that it ends in go. If you want, I suggest that you would write this down and keep it handy, or you can print it off of your notes in the course home. The forms of tener are yo tengo, I have, tú tienes, you have, él, ella, usted tiene, he, she, or you has, nosotros o nosotras tenemos, we have, vosotros o vosotras tenéis, you all have, or ellas, ellos, ellas, and ustedes tienen. They have, or you all have. You can use tener just like you use have in English. For example, you might say, I have 6 classes at Virginia College. Yo tengo 6 clases. Or you might say, she has 1 child. Ella tiene un hijo. Tener is also used to express someone's age. In English we say, I'm 35 years old. But in Spanish, you would say, yo tengo 35 años. I have 35 years. There are some other expressions that you can use with the verb tener. There's an exhaustive list in your textbook, but here's some of the most common uses. Here's some vocabulary words that you would use for expressions with tener. They don't say the same way in English, so it's not a direct translation from one to the other. Words such as calor, frío, sed, hambre, miedo, sueño are expressions that you use with tener. In English, we wouldn't say, I have heat, when you want to say that you're hot. Or you wouldn't say, the baby has thirst, when the baby's thirsty. But in Spanish, they use the verb tener in many cases where we would use the verb to be in English. Let's do a few examples together. Expressions with tener. For example, if you wanted to say, I am thirsty, use the I form of tener, which is tengo, and the word for thirst, which is sed. The literal translation of this is, I have thirst. But we wouldn't say that in English. So be careful when you translate something from one language to the other, as there oftentimes is not a literal translation. She is cold. In Spanish, you wouldn't say she is cold, but rather that she has cold. So use ella for she. Tiene is the form of tener, she has. And then use the word for cold. Frío. This is how you would express that someone is cold, that they're feeling cold. They are sleepy. They is ellos. Use the verb tener, tienen, and use the word for sleepy, sueño. Take note that in each of these cases, the verb in English is to be, am, is, and are. But in Spanish, these expressions use the verb tener. This is explained clearly in your textbook and also in the notes that you'll find for this week's lessons. The last example is John is afraid. John is the same as he, which is él. So you would use tiene. John tiene, and then use the word for fear. miedo. These are just some examples of how you can use the verb tener for expressions in Spanish.